Macquisten and Steve Thorp co-founded the Vancouver Urban Winery in 2012. This urban winery where we are tonight is the first of its kind in Vancouver and also operates as a unique special events space. The winery features 36 wine taps at the tasting bar where consumers can learn about British Columbia wines and exploding wine on tap category. Alongside the tasting bar is a boutique wine shop full of local items, wine merchandise, artisan foods, and beverages, and plenty of wine. The winery manufactures, packages, imports, and distributes wine for multiple brands. The operations of Fresh Tap, which specializes in packaging quality wines in stainless steel kegs for the emerging wine on tap category, takes place within the Vancouver Urban Winery. Please join me in welcoming Mike Macquisten and Steve Thorp.
We'll be on time. We got our own timer. So first of all, thank you for everybody new in the venue. Mike and I basically sleep here 24 hours a day, so it's nice to see some smiles when people come in the door. It refreshes us.
It's probably our first time we've chatted to an audience when we haven't been about 1:30, 2 o'clock standing on that bar, so it's kind of unique.
So to maybe take you guys back just a second of how Mike and I know each other and then take you through the concept. Mike and I worked together about 7 years ago back in my sales agency. I was on the sales side for the lifestyle clothing industry. Mike then got headhunted about 5 months later and left the company, probably because he didn't like me, I hope, but because he went on to work for Molson Coors and went on for about 4 or 5 years on the sales side of the beer and spirits industry. And I kept trucking along on the sales side in the lifestyle industry. And about 4 years ago, we started a marketing company. We started doing marketing with beer and spirits companies across Canada, a little bit of wine. And we spent about 4 years giving away great ideas to a lot of companies. And hopefully they're thankful, but we had a really good time doing it. And all along the while, we were looking for a concept that we could really grab a hold of. So in our travels over those years, this was about 2 years ago, we saw the concept of wine on tap in New York City. And this kind of relates to a point that Mike and I were talking about behind the bar about 10 minutes ago. And that is really about being inspired by travel. We got to travel a lot with our marketing company, and we always encourage all of our friends and young entrepreneurs and people we're associated with to get out there and travel, because you see so many cool things around everywhere in the world about what people are doing in different industries, whether you're connected or not, and it really can inspire you to do amazing things. So this was back, I got my dates here, about February 2011, the concept of...
Yes, and on that point, we're complete rookies compared to some legends that are here tonight. So we've got our notepads out, and I was just listening to Greg there and thinking, like, you had to go run to the library to find out the answer. We get to just turn around and look up the old Wikipedia and turn back around. Everybody's a genius these days with a phone and a Bible in your pocket, but I think the coolest part about what Steve and I have been doing is we're looking up, actually, Richard, you've had some pretty cool guests with you already, and a lot of them are inspired by what they see around the world, and they bring them back to this cool city and then kind of bring it into this melting pot and make it all happen on their own terms. And really that was what we've just been doing. We love traveling, we love learning, because you get to turn your brain on in a different way when you travel. You see things in a different way than your daily grind. So that's kind of how this all happened. And I think if we can keep continuing to travel, that's the goal.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll get to that at the very end, but we're now 6 minutes, so we gotta hurry up. So, I'll speed ahead. So we basically started packaging wine in February of 2012. So we're about 9 months into our operation. We're up to about 22 staff. Everything's happened insanely fast, which is really, really exciting. So we actually started 3 businesses. We wanted to start 2, but now we started 3. So to get to the first one, which is actually the site you're in right now, Vancouver Urban Winery, this was actually the 3rd business that came about just because we got this amazing space. Fresh Tap was always the core of our business, and we stumbled upon this space and were able to get licensed here right outside Gastown. So we decided, let's open up a tasting bar and a retail store, and most of all, we use the space for education. People like yourselves, bars and restaurants, consumers, anybody that we can get in the door and really show what Wine on Tap is, experience some BC wines, local foods, come in for public tastings. So it's really helped our business evolve a lot in many ways. So we do public events here, private events, all kinds of stuff. So that's the facility you're in today, but the core of our business is what's called Fresh Tap. I'm going to finally hand this mic over to Mike.
So you guys have probably had a bit of wine already from a tap, which is pretty awesome. It's very unique. We noticed it happening and absolutely exploding in the US. So we did a lot of traveling, like Steve said, doing a lot of market research, and as tough as that is when you're posting up at a bar and drinking, somebody had to do it. But it was some really fun research, and it's absolutely exploded in the US. And the coolest thing about it is it's all winemaker endorsed. So it truly is, it starts out with the two most important people in the whole operation. That is number one, you guys, the consumer, and that person sitting at the bar with that glass of wine. And number two, that winemaker. So we know that when wine arrives here, it arrives bottle ready. So instead of going through their bottling line at the winery, it comes to us and we package it into these 19.5 liter stainless steel kegs. They basically mimic a wine tank that their wine's stored in. So right there, all of a sudden, you're eliminating a ton of waste by keeping the consistency of that wine perfectly fresh, exactly the way the winemaker intended it. So it's always pressurized by an inert gas at the bar. So the bar owner, the bar manager, the restaurant, the staff, the streamlined service that comes with the whole program is amazing. You don't have to cork bottles, you don't have to get rid of them at the end of the night. And you eliminate spoilage altogether. So wine is never ever in contact with oxygen, so you have absolutely zero oxidation and zero waste. For a bar owner, that's one of the biggest pains in the ass about serving wine by the glass, is that you truly have some of your crappiest margins in an entire operation come from your wine by the glass program. But now, because we're packaging wine for so many great wineries, a lot of which, or there's over 30 wineries now, a lot of which would never have been able to get on by the glass programs, mostly because it's just too expensive and too risky for a bar operator. Anything north of $15 or $20, their risk of opening that bottle and then having that sit on the shelf and literally ticking time clock, as you know, when it sits on your counter, if you open it on Tuesday and you're not aggressive enough to drink it till Friday, it's going to have changed until then. So it's the same concept, and basically the coolest part about this is that you just take that all out of the equation. But at the end of the day, the person drinking that glass is drinking a perfectly fresh glass of wine. And then there's the environmental side. So we're supposed to get into smarter, fresher, friendlier, our pillars. But
Stay on brand, Mike.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's for our marketing meeting. But the end of my friendlier message is really you're eliminating all kinds of waste. 30% shipping weight, and we probably kegged what now, 70,000 liters?
It's supposed to be my point.
Oh right, sorry. Anyways, we've eliminated an awful lot of bottles in general. I'll pass it over to Steve to kind of go through some of the stats, but other than that, you guys can come check it all out after this. We'll be here all night, and if you need a glass of wine or six, just come find us.
Thanks, Mike. So I was supposed to go through the stats. Mike is just throwing numbers out there. So we, to date, we have kegged over 40,000 liters of wine, which is a pretty large amount of product so far. And with that, we've eliminated over 40,000 bottles from ever being produced. Corks, labels, over 3,500 pounds of cardboard. So one of these kegs for us has about a 15 to 20 year reusable lifespan. So we're short proximity of distribution, and that's really the core of why we wanted to be really close to Vancouver. Product is shipped to us. It's lighter to ship bulk product here. We package it, and then it's consumed close to us. So we can bring these kegs back, sanitize them, and put them back into circulation. So much different than a lot of the products out there in terms of cardboard bags, boxes, that sort of delivery method. So yeah, it's pretty astronomical. And we're in about 50 restaurants now in BC and Alberta. And like Mike said, just over 30 wineries now on board that have product in stainless steel kegs. So it's been a good ride so far. So what's the future of Wine on Tap? So we're shooting for about 300 restaurants in the next few years to come on board. And that target seems to be increasing every month. looking at north of 75 wineries, so we got new guys coming on board every month, and then obviously looking for a national brand. We want to be the leaders at packaging in stainless steel kegs for the wine industry in Canada. So those are some of the goals. And so the last little piece of our puzzle here is Roaring 20s Wine Co. So Mike and I decided that we wanted to also launch a wine brand, fitting because we have a winery, so let's create a wine brand. And we traveled to Argentina and New Zealand last year. It was a really tough trip. Week in each country. We ate like 30 steaks in Argentina. I don't know if you've ever had a steak there, but it's unbelievable. Coming from an Alberta boy too, it was amazing.
But yeah, we got that. Literally, you're sitting in the site where it's going to be chaos tomorrow. We have a bottling line that pulls in here at 5:30 in the morning, and we're bottling 3,000 cases of our brand that hits stores November 15th. So it's called Roaring 20s Wine Co. You can try it on tap tonight next to some of our great partners that package here at Okanagan Crush Pad, which is cool, by the way. And so anyways, this place is going to be a zoo for the next 3 days of bottling, and that's a really fun brand for Steve and I, basically because we're not growing grapes on the roof. We don't have a vineyard, we're not attached to a vineyard, so we can kind of be nimble that way. And it really is based on our own taste profile, really. And so when we traveled around, we were just trying to find a product that we loved and we could really connect with, and it was the right price point, varietal specific, and I think the one thing more than anything was that you could sit down and enjoy 3 or 4 bottles in one sitting with your friends. So that was like a #1 key. But anyways, keep an eye out for it. It launches November 15th. Anyway, cheers guys, thanks so much.
That's a wrap. Cheers, thank you.